Miniatures can be pretty small or fairly massive in size. GameMasters here, and we are going to jump back to Bigby Presents Glory of the Giants, as WizKids just recently released their Giants line for it. But I think it's an interesting comparison simply in showing scale. A few days ago, I put out a poll asking, when gaming, do you use miniatures and terrain or only maps? And about 60% of you use minis and terrain. Comments also cited that many prefer the theater of the mind, where imagination is used over visualization, or that some use tokens, even pennies, or just using their dice to represent the characters and the monsters they are battling against. But when you choose to use miniatures, there is something kind of fun in that visual. I mean, imagine using your human paladin or dragonborn sorcerer and everyone else, then running into a massive giant or dragon. Having the miniatures to be there to provide the scale can actually make the difference between the party rushing in to hack and slash versus maybe we should wait a moment and try to talk our way through this encounter. I gotta admit, the sculpts that WizKids has used on these is beyond awesome. I love the fact that these are all pre-painted. Over the years, my eyes have gotten worse, and I'm closing in on 50 years old, and ever since my early 40s, my eyesight has just started to dwindle. I can't see close up all that well, so painting miniatures like I used to do, it's just no longer in the cards for me. Yeah, I could wear bifocals or use magnifying glasses, but when there's an option of having pre-painted minis offered up by what WizKids has out, I'm going to opt for that. WizKids sent to me several different minis to check out. The Death Giant Necromancer is massive, and I'll show you a side-by-side comparison in a moment that shows the scale of these Giants minis compared to the regular sized one. There is the Fire Hellion. This is a massive mini that features a mace all on fire. The Cloud Giant of Evil Air, which to me was always a strange name. I mean, would it have not made a little more sense to have named it simply the Evil Cloud Giant? Because, can air really be evil? But this one, the Spectral Cloud, is perhaps one of my favorite minis from Bigby's batch. It's very ethereal and ghostly. The Fire Gaunt is pretty wicked looking. Small patches of burnt embers are all over his skin, and of course he wields a massive stone hammer. Now to show off some of the smaller regular size miniatures from Bigby Presents Glory of the Giants batch. Again, I'll show you a comparison of scale in a moment, but we have a hobgoblin, a bugbear, an orc, a Goliath chief with a large fort for a weapon, Sky Tower Goliath, an elf druid, another bugbear, this one with a different weapon. Again, for being pre-painted, these things are super awesome and can instantly be used right out of the blister boxes that they come in. Yes, it's a blind box, so you won't know exactly what you're getting, but you can easily trade them, and there are 42 different miniatures in this set. Next up is a Shrieker and a Deinonychus. I can't pronounce that. A Deinonychus and Bigby himself. Oh, and a Giant Tick. Some of these, if you're not perfectly happy with the paint job, I don't suppose there's really anything to stop you from adding your own flair to them. A little dry brush here and there could probably make these things really, really pop. Now for the sheer scale of these things, and I'll show you Bigby sitting next to a couple of the larger giants. Would you really just charge in weapons blazing and try to just flat out attack these massive giants? Or would you kind of want to test the situation before running in and just see how well you might fare against them? Yeah, I know. Some players are going to go all Leroy Jenkins and just rush on in. But seriously, sit back a moment and really consider the visual here. What if it were you? You stand about, say, 6 foot tall, facing something that towers over 5 times your size. You're really going to rush in and try to attack its ankles? And I think that's what I really like about these Bigby miniatures. They really show that scale comparison, and in a combat situation, it puts things into perspective. Not to mention that should you need a place to hide, you are likely going to fit into a comparatively small space that these giants simply can't fit. And if you'd like to get your hands on some of these Bigby Presents Glory of the Giants minis for your campaign, I'll leave a link down in the description. Now, according to the poll, I know where most of you stand in regards to miniatures, but the burning question that I've got, if cost were not an overall issue, what miniatures would you most want to see the scale of? I think for me would probably be Cthulhu. I can't imagine how large that thing would be compared to when looking at something like the size of Bigby. Maybe me? I mean, would I be the proper scale of Cthulhu? Let me know which miniature you'd like to choose down in the comments, and until next our paths cross, may you not encounter a cloud giant.